Hi, this is Subhash from Durgasoft, Senior Faculty for Aptitude. As we know, nowadays to get a job for any competitive examination, the aptitude is mandatory. First of all, we should know how can we get a job. There is a process in getting a job. It may be government job or private job. The process starts with the written examination. Once we clear the written examination, only we are allowed for the next rounds of HR rounds, maybe technical or soft skills, whatever it may be. One has to clear the written examination. Then what is there in the written examination? Many of you already maybe attended the written examinations. The written examination contains majorly three areas. One is aptitude, Aptitude is nothing but the combination of quant and reasoning, and followed by the verbal. Many of the students has problem with the aptitude. Why? Because whatever they learned in their past education up to degree level, maybe 3 years or 4 years, BSc, BCom or BTech, whatever it may be, they may be expertise in mathematics, but there is a big difference in maths and aptitude. The approach is entirely different. Whereas in mathematics to solve a question almost we need 5 to 10 minutes, but the same question if it is asked in the competitive examination in terms of aptitude, there we don't have even 1 minute. Within the 1 minute it has to be solved. So then that is for success. Then how a question is solved in aptitude, what works actually? To work out any question, we don't require any mathematical knowledge, just we need a skill. That's why the companies are focusing more on whether the candidate has skill or not. The aptitude purely related to skill. It is a natural skill. It is built in with our human body. Let us see one question for you. See, for example, already you got selected for a company and finally the HR may ask you a question. This is the question from the HR. Wonderful, Mr. X, you got selected almost for the job, only I need to offer the offer letter. But there is final question to you. Your salary is 30,000 right now. After 1 month, due to some reasons, we are getting more projects and you need to work in a day 2 hours extra, but you need not to work at free of cost. Your salary may be increased by 10% as long as the projects are going on. Once the projects are done, again you have to come back to 8 hours in a day. Then our idea is first 10% increased due to workload. After certain time period, once the projects are done, the salary, your salary, we want to decrease by the same percent. Is it okay to you? This is the HR question. Then what will you answer to this question? Yes. Yeah. If you say yes, what happens? If you say no, what happens? If you say yes, you will be rejected. If you say no, you will be selected. What happens in this case? First, the quantity is increased by 10%. Later on, the same percent decreased. What is happening in this case? To understand better, I am taking the number as 100 to understand very easily. Say for example, your salary is 100 rupees per month. Here first it is increased by 10%. Can you tell me what is 10% of 100? Yeah, it is 10. So 10 is increased, means your salary is going to become 110 rupees. 10% increased. This is the salary after increment of 10%. After some certain period, the same 110 rupees is going to be decreased by 10%. So here 10% is decreasing. Now, what is 10% of 110? Even now you don't know, later we are going to know how to calculate the 10% of any number within second. It will not take more than 1 second to calculate any percent in aptitude. That after knowing few techniques. Later we will come to know about it. Now 10% of 110 is nothing but just 11 rupees. So 11 rupees is going to be decreased from this. So 110 minus 11, you are going to get only 99 rupees. So the quantity initially it is 100 rupees. First increased by 10%, later on decreased by 10%. The result is 99 rupees. Means you are going to lose 1 rupee for every 100. So your salary is going to become decrease. That's why no is for selection answer, yes is rejected answer. So like this, not only in the written examination, sometimes even this knowledge, this skill, it is not mathematics. This skill is going to help you in HR rounds also. So many areas, the quant is connected to in our daily life in many areas. Fine, this is a big calculation. Almost if you don't know the percentages concepts, it may take 2 to 3 minutes. If it is a different number, say 100, 10%, okay, we are able to calculate in faster way. In case the number is changed, if it is not going to be 10%, how are you going to calculate here how much the value is reduced? The initial value is 100 rupees, the final value is 99. It is reduced by 1 rupee. Means that is nothing but 1%. 1 is less than 99 is 1 less than 100. So there is a change took place. 1 is reduced. Means 1% is the reduction in 100. 99 we got. Fine. In case the question every time may not be given 10%. 10% is an easy number. 10. The number is very easy. The salary is 100 rupees. First it is some increased by 13%. Later on decreased by 13%. What happens? What will be the new number? Or by what percent the 100 is going to be reduced? So here the calculation is difficult. 10% easy, that you could calculate within a second, but 13, in case of it is 13, it may take time. There you need to use the skill but not mathematics. The skill is nothing but it is very simple. By what percent the 100 is going to be decreased? When 13% increased initially, later on after some time 13% decreased. The final change is nothing but just multiply these two numbers and divide it by 100. It takes 2 seconds to work out this question. So it is nothing but 13 into 13 divided by 100. As we know, it is 169 by 100, which is going to be 1.69% is going to reduce your salary. It may be 30,000 or 67,000, whatever the number, don't worry, the percentage reduction is 1.69%. So when we know the percentage increased initially, later on the same percentage decreased, the quantity is going to reduce by this number into this number divided by 100%. Now the question is now reverse. Here now what do you understand, guys? Any quantity initially increased by 10%, later on decreased by 10%, the final is here, what is going to be here? 10 into 10 by 100. In case of it is 10% increment, later on 10% decrement, it is 10 into 10 by 100, which is giving 1. So 1% is the decrement. Once the quantity is increased by 10%, later decreased by 10%, the result is nothing but 1% decreasing in the original value. It is not compulsory every time the same scenario. Sometimes it may be exchanged also. Now the question is, what happens if initially 10% decreased, later on 10% increased? So initial salary is 100 rupees. Now first 10% decreased, after that after certain period 10% increased. First increased by 10%, later decreased by 10%, the change is 1% here. Change is nothing but it is decreased by 1%. This is first increased, later decreased. Final result is decreased by 1%. If this is interchanged, initially 10% decreased, after that 10% increased, what is going to be your result? Yes, please. 1% increment. Great. So your answer is 1% increase. Let us see what is going to happen. This is your salary 100 rupees. According to this second idea, first 10% decreased. What is the 10% of 100? 10. Then 10 is reduced from 100. It is going to be 90. After decreasing 10%, your salary is 90. And next 10% increased. Here 10% increased. What is the 10% of 90? It is a second. You need only just a second. 9 rupees. 10% of 90 is 9 rupees. Then 9 rupees is increased, means 90 plus 9. It is nothing but 99. Here this is 100 minus 10 is 90, 90 plus 99. Again it is 99. Initially it is 100, then 99. Again it is reduced, means on 100, 1 rupee is reduced. So again 1% decrease. So this is wrong. From this, what you understood is any quantity initially decreased by 10%, later on increased by 10%, there is a decreasing of 1%, or initially 10% increased, later on 10% decrease, also there is a decreasing by 1%. The same thing happens in this case also. Any quantity, not only 100, it may be any number. First increased by 13%, later on decreased by 13%. The final result is going to be 1.69% a decrease only. Even initially 13% decreased and later on 13% increased, also the result is going to be same, 1.69% is decreased. So this is how it works, the logic rather than mathematics. We need to focus more on how to find the values in faster way. Means in the real-time examination, never in any competitive examination you will not be having more than 1 minute to work out a question. Means every question it has to be nailed out within 1 minute. For that, just mathematical concepts, mathematical approach will not work. We need more than that. It is nothing but the aptitude skills.